Now, Donald Trump suggested he is open to pardoning Hunter Biden if he's reelected. Watch this.
I wouldn't do anything that would be overt in terms of Hunter. It's a sad situation. But I could have done that with Hillary Clinton. I could have done it with Hillary, and certainly you do it with Hunter or whatever, but I don't want to do it with Hunter either. And I'll bet you the father probably pardons him. Let's see what happens. But he's a bad boy.
All right, former acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker joins me now. Matthew, why would Trump even think about pardoning Hunter Biden?
Well, good morning, Stuart. I think one of the reasons he would consider that is because we have gone through a period of American history right now where the Department of Justice has been weaponized, and the pressure to bring these politically hot cases, I think, has really hurt the reputation of the Department of Justice. And so, obviously, as an olive branch, I think that that might be a good idea for President Trump to consider that. But I don't think there's any doubt what he said, which is, Joe Biden will pardon Hunter Biden as soon as this election is over in 11 days. And so I don't think that's a legit question ultimately for Donald Trump to even consider.
You think that President Biden would pardon Hunter right after the election? You think he would do that?
100%.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
100%. I mean, this is his one living son. Yeah, it's his one living son, and you would put yourself in those shoes. And obviously Joe Biden is drifting off into history, and you would fully expect that he would take advantage of that awesome executive power to pardon his own son.
Kamala Harris was asked whether she would pack the Supreme Court if elected. Watch this, Matthew.
I appreciate that you did acknowledge that we are a country that is faced with problems and issues. With the Supreme Court being plagued with issues, would you be in favor of expanding the court to, say, 12?
There is no question that the American people increasingly are losing confidence in the Supreme Court. And in large part because of the behavior of certain members of that court and because of certain rulings, including the Dobbs decision. So I do believe that there should be some kind of reform of the court, and we can study what that actually looks like.
It seems that if the Democrats don't get a ruling they want and they like from the Supreme Court, they try to change the court. But my question is, would voters accept that?
I don't think voters would accept that, and I think she's wrong. I think a lot of Americans believe the Supreme Court is the last chance to get it right. I mean, their job is not to score cheap political partisan points. It is to get the law right. And if you look at the decisions that have come out, whether it's Dobbs, whether it's EPA versus West Virginia, and so many other cases, they've just said what the law is. And then obviously it's up to Congress and the executive branch to figure out how to follow the law and the Constitution. So I think this is a very dangerous plan. And she said the quiet part out loud, which is if Democrats get power this November, that they will pack the court. FDR tried to do it. It was politically unpopular, to say the least. But, Stuart, I just think this is the wrong thing to do. They have to win hearts and minds. They have to win the court of public opinion, not to play these cheap political games by packing the Supreme Court.
Do you have to change the Constitution to pack the Supreme Court, or could you just do it with a vote in Congress? You could do it just like that?
You could change the law in Congress to change the number of Supreme Court justices. There's no number set by the Constitution.
I don't think it's ever going to happen. Matthew Whitaker, thank you very much for joining us, sir. Always appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you, Stuart. Good to see you.